धाम्ना स्वेन सदा निरस्तकुहकं सत्यं परं धीमहि नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 4th Canto, chapter 29, beginning from verse number 66. The teachings of Sri Narada to King Bharisma, and these two questions were asked by the king, that if we perform some action in this body, by this body, then why is that the result is attained in another body which did not perform the action? Because one who performs the action should get the result. And second one was that the karma is finished once you complete your work, then how it can give result later on? Because to give the result, the cause must be present just before the result comes out. So he answered this, that although the physical body is given up, but the subtle body continues. And it is the subtle body which originates the action. And the result is also felt in the subtle body. And about karma, he said that karmas, they leave their samskaras, and the samskaras are instrumental in giving the result later on. And while speaking, he said that whatever we are experiencing in our mind, then it is because that has been experienced in the past. We don't see something new in the mind. नानुभूतं क्वचनेन देहेन दृष्टम अश्रुतं कदाचित् उपलभ्येते यद् रूपं यादृगात्मनि तेन स्य तादृशं राजन् लिंगिनो देहसम्भवः. So it is understood that that experience must have happened in the past, and this is also the cause for future lives, because anything which is not experienced cannot come in the mind. So now he continues on that. He says, Manayeva manusyasya purva rupani sansati bhavisyatasya bhadram te tathaiva na bhavishyata. He says that by studying the mind, one can understand one's past life. What is the state of mind now? Then this is because one has acted in a particular way in the past life. And by the study of the mind, one can also know what will be the future birth. Or if there is no birth, somebody is going to be liberated, that also can be understood from the mind state. So everything basically can be known from the mind. Because somebody is very pious now and peaceful, not very much disturbed, religious, then it is understood that one must have also performed pious activities or engaged in religious activities in the past, or may have even come from heavenly planets. And those who have quarrelsome nature, disturbed mind, always trying to exploit others, so that also speaks of something in the past. So that people who have coming in the human life from upper planet or lower planet, as Krishna says also in Bhagavad Gita, that those who are in sattva, they go to the upper planets. Those who are in tamas, they go to the lower planets. So one who is manifesting the quality of sattva must come from the upper planets, and one who is manifesting the quality of tamas as a human being should come from the lower planets. And where one is going is also indicated by the state of mind. So therefore he says, Maneva Manusyasya Purva Rupani Sanchati. Kincha Manovrittya eva Purva Aparani Ashubhani Shubhani Cha Sarirani Gyayante Tya. So he says that by the vritti of the mind, or the status of the mind, one can study whether one had auspicious or inauspicious births or bodies in the past. Maneva Kartri Ugratva Santatvadibhi Karpanya Audaryadibhischa Manusyasya Purva Rupani Purva Purva Sharirani Purvamapi Ayam Eva Asiditi Sansti Katheti. So, by studying the mind, whether somebody is very violent or peaceful, miser or generous, it speaks of the previous births. Because in the past also, Purvamapi Ayam Eva Asit. One must have been like this in the past, because the samskaras are carried from the past to the future. If somebody is generous, then he must be generous in the past also. Kathayati bhavishyataśya tasya bhavini sarirani eva maya bhavishyati. And it also speaks of the future, what will happen in the future. There is one story about Bali Maharaj. Bali is famous for giving charity, because he donated everything to Vamanadev. So it is described that one of the past lives he was a drunkard and a womanizer. And once he was completely drunk and he was going to see some prostitute, but he was carrying some sweets and some garland for her. He has drunk so much liquor that he was not able to walk properly, and while walking he fell down. But it so happened that he fell in front of a Sivlinga, because in India we see many times there are small temples on the roadside for the benefit of such people. So he fell off and he hit his head on the ground, on the stone, and he died. But when he fell off, the garland fell on the Sivlinga and the sweets also in front of the Shiva deity. So it became like an offering to the Shiva. So after death he was presented in front of Yamaraj. So Yamaraj saw, and he saw that he was very impious, irreligious in his life, but there was one good act he has done, and that is offering the garland to Lord Shiva. So for that he was to be made the king of heaven for one day, and for other things he has to suffer in hell. So he was given the choice whether he would like to be the king of heaven for one day first or suffer in the hell first. So he said that let me first be the king of heaven for one day, and then I can go to hell. So he was given the authority of the heaven. So when he was there, since he understood that just by offering one garland he got this position, so he started donating everything. Whatever was there in Indra's palace, including his elephant and horse and everything, he donated everything. Whole day he was just giving charity. So that's why he was born as Bali Maharaj. Because of his charitable disposition, he developed that. So much that when Lord Vamanadev came and asked him for 3 feet of land, he was laughing at him. He says, "What are you talking about? You have come to me and asking 3 feet of land. It is a shame for me that I give you 3 feet of land. You should ask something which deserves my position. I am Bali. Should ask for some land, palace, women, wealth. So Vamana said, no, I am a Brahmin boy. I don't want all these hassles. I need a small place where I can do my bhajan. So he was still trying to cajole him. And at that time Sukracharya, he understood that he is Vishnu and he is playing a trick. So he told him that don't give him anything because he is going to trick you. So Bali Maharaj says it doesn't matter. I have to give. So that he was not a devotee to begin with. It was not that Bali was a devotee and therefore he was giving to Vaman Dev, even after knowing that he is Vishnu. They are actually against Vishnu because he comes in the line of Hiranyakashipu. So he said, that is even good news that he is Vishnu coming to beg from me. Now I will definitely give him. So that's why he agreed to give and disregarded even the injunction of his Guru. And that is because he had the disposition of giving charity. Could not see anything wrong in it. In fact, he felt happy to do that. So this is what it means that by the state of mind one can understand the past life and what will happen in the future. तथा ज्ञान वैराग्यादि दृष्ट्या पूर्वमपि यस्य शब्दमादि आसीत्. And if someone is knowledgeable, renounced, then that also shows that in the past also this person must have practiced control of mind, control of senses. So the same is carried now. And if somebody is given too much sense pleasures, that also shows that this is what one has practiced in the past. So because things don't happen accidentally, there is a history behind everything. न भविष्यता इति पुनर्न जनिष्यमाणस्य अस्य मुक्तिर्भविष्यति इति मनैव ज्ञापयति. And if one is going to become liberated, then that is also known from the mind. If the person has no material aims, no desire for material pleasures, that means such person is heading for mukti or liberation. And one will not take birth because one gets birth to fulfill one's material desires. Maneva gyapati ata ekameva manomayam linga shariram na punar jatam ityartha. So the meaning is that the linga sharira is only one. The subtle body is one. It is not changing with the birth. Because this is the continuation of the previous answer he was giving. That how is that you perform work with one body and the result is coming in another body. So it says because the linga sharira, the subtle body is same, it continues. And that's why you can understand what kind of body one had previously. भद्रं ते इत्येतत्त्वं बुद्धस्व इति कृपया आशीर्वाद. So in this particular verse he said Bhadram te, all auspiciousness on you. So this way Narada is also giving a blessing to him. He is given his kripa, which means that he will not take birth again. Especially after hearing Narada and accepting what he is teaching, how can he take birth again? Adrishtam ashrutam chatra kvachin manasi drishyate yatha tathanu mantavyam desha kala kriyashrayam. Sometimes we see things which we have not seen. Seeing means not physically but in the mind, such as in the dream state. Or we may hear things which we have not heard in our wakeful state. So he says that this should also be understood similarly, that it is because of combination of time, place and actions. Because you may see things in the dream which is a combination of different things which you have experienced separately. You may have seen a mountain and you have seen gold, then you can see a golden mountain in the dream. So although we have not experienced golden mountain, but in the dream we can see because we have experienced these two things separately. So therefore in the dreams we can see things which may be abnormal, extraordinary, which we don't experience in our wakeful state. Because mind otherwise cannot see anything, or in the dream we cannot see something which has not been experienced. Because it's all coming from inside. And whatever is inside has gone from outside. Whatever is lying inside, it's all gone through our senses. And the same thing is thrown out. So nothing new. Nanu katham katachit darshan arham api swapne pratiyate. So he says that why is it that sometimes in the dreams we see things which are not seeable, or which you cannot experience them because such things don't exist. Yatha parvatagre samudra. So just like an ocean on top of a mountain. So there is no ocean on the hill, but one may dream like that. Diva nakshatrani, or seeing the stars in the daytime, or swasirashcheda, or seeing your own head cut off. So how is that possible? इत्यादीनि अन्यताः अदृष्टं दर्शनानहरम् अश्रुतं स्वर्णानहरं यथा येन प्रकारेण दृश्यते तथा तेनैव प्रकारेण देशकालक्रियाश्रयं तत्तदनुमन्तव्यम्. So something which is not possible to be seen, or something which is not possible to be heard, if one sees or hears that, then it is to be seen as an influence of time, place, actions, etc. So what does it mean? It says Anya Desh Ashraya Samudra Parvatagre. So mixing of places, that ocean is somewhere on the land or near the land, but you can see it in a different place on top of a mountain, or in different time. And that is Nisashrayam Nakshatradikam Deva. So the stars are seen at night, but you can see them at daytime. So this is a mixture of time. Abhyangadi kriyashrayam sira khalu chedan kriyayam dhatu vasamya prayaktya. So then chopping off the head, it says head, which is the place where you massage with oil, abhyanga, but you see it cut off. So you may be cutting vegetable and you see your head chopped off. So that is action which happens on something else is seen somewhere else. So object which exists in one place may be seen in another place, or something which happens at a particular time may be seen at an odd time, or activities which happen elsewhere may be displaced. So it's basically displacement of actions, time and place. Dhatu vaishamya prayuktya swapnagatya bhrantya prakriti. And this happens because of the disturbance of the tissues in the body. Because these dreams, they come because of the imbalance in the dhatu. When you are awake, there is one type of balance. When you sleep, then some imbalance occurs, and that disturbs the mind, and the dreams are coming. So this is because of this bhranti or illusion that one sees. Sarve kramanurodhena mansindriya gocharaha ayanti vargaso yanti sarve samanaso janaha. So he says that whatever has been experienced through the senses, then they come in the mind in a particular order. Some things you experience now, but you may see them after many years. Or some things which were seen long ago, you may see them now. So he says they come in a particular order. Ayanti vargsho yanti sarve samansojana. So they come and go, and this is because every human being or every living being has a mind. There is nobody who is without a mind. There is one popular meditation which is called no mind meditation, right? So there is no such thing as no mind meditation, because you cannot throw away mind. So some people, they say that mind is nothing but bundle of thoughts, and if you remove thoughts, then there is no more mind. And that's not true, because even if the thoughts are not there, mind is still there. It's only thoughtless. So mind, thoughts are those which come in the mind. But if there is no thought, that doesn't mean that the mind is not there. So you can say no thought meditation, not no mind meditation. Because samanso jana, that everybody has a mind. Otherwise you have to assume that mind is taking birth and then mind is dying. And then how it will remember something which happened in the past? Because now it is a new mind. If mind is coming only with the thoughts, then why should it remember then something happened in the past? So that's not true. Ekeneva linga dehena paras sahasran sthul dehan pravishya kal bhedena ekeva yakopi jiva sarvaneva vishya bhogan bhunkte ityah sarveti samansa salinga deha. So there is only one subtle body, and with this one subtle body one gets so many gross bodies. So many births we are taking, but the subtle body is the same. Of course there is change which happens in the subtle body also. It's like we have this physical body, it keeps on changing. So like that subtle body also changes. If somebody is a human being, then somebody has to take birth as a deva, then the ego will change from human to deva. So the change has occurred. But it's not that the body is completely given up, subtle body and a new subtle body. So the change is happening, but subtle body is continuing from one physical body to another physical body. And like this it may continue for millions and millions of births, unless one attains mukti. Because mukti hitva anyatha rupam swarupena vyavasthiti. Mukti means to give up anyatha rup. Gross body, subtle body, these are anyatha rup. And to become situated in one's own swarupa, that is called mukti. So it is only at mukti, at the time of liberation, that one gives up the subtle body. Otherwise it remains. And therefore all the samskaras, they continue from one body to another. And they keep on adding more and more samskaras are coming. So many sense objects are coming and going. And there are no sense objects which we don't sense with our senses. Whatever is existing, they are all related with our senses. So sarve kramanurodhena mansi indriya gochara ayanti varksho yanti. So kramanurodhana means one after another in different bodies. So if we actually understand this, that we have had so many lifetimes in the past, that means we have actually experienced everything. Because we have had every species of life, as a dog, as a cat, as a bird, as a cow, everything we have experienced. And all those experiences are within. So then there is no need now that I have not experienced it, let me experience this. We have forgotten. That's all. But there is no question that we have not experienced. Since there is no beginning for this cycle of birth and death, then it is not possible that we have not experienced. So the only thing which we have not experienced is bhakti. So we should actually try to experience that which we have not experienced. No need of making an effort for things which we have already gone through. So we have desire to experience newer and newer things, but really speaking they are not new, just forgetfulness of those things. Samansa salinga deha. And the reason is that because everybody has a linga deha, there is no one who is without it. But it is in human beings that it is manifest in the most spectacular manner. Otherwise a worm, a mosquito, they also have subtle body, same type of subtle body as we have. And because their physical body is not capable of manifesting everything, so then they are very limited. Just like a human baby is born, the subtle body is there, but cannot manifest various types of ideas, thoughts, activities, which will become manifest when the body grows. So it is there, but cannot manifest. So in the same way, the animals, birds, they all have it. Sattvaika nishthe manasi bhagvat parshvavartini tamas chandramasi vedam upurajya bhasate. And the mind which is completely situated in sattva and is in association with the Lord, then such a mind can see everything simultaneously. we perceive very limited things, or even if we see dreams, then we see some very few things, although there is so much lying inside. But a person whose mind is in sattva, actually Visuddha sattva, then such a person can see the whole universe in one place. Because it says Bhagavat Parsavartani, who is in association with the Lord, as Arjuna saw. So the Lord said that you can see everything here. So Arjuna was able to see just in one place. So that is possible by the grace of the Lord. Tadevam sarvairapi sarve artha kramena drishyante ityuktam. So he says in the previous verse it was said that all people experience all sense objects gradually in order. Idanim yugpadapi sarvdarshanam kadachit bhavati itya. Now in this verse he says that sometimes the experience can also happen simultaneously. That is being described here. Sattve suddha sattve chit vibhutav eva. So this happens when mind is in Vishuddha sattva, because then it can transcend the material limitations. So there is a material sattva which also gives knowledge, sattvat sanjayate jnanam. But when it is in Visuddha sattva, which is the internal potency of the Lord, then it can see everything. Eka nishtha nitram sthitir yasya. So sattva eka nishtha, and is completely fixed in that. Tatha bhute mansi bhagavat parsavartini sati. And if such a person is in the association of the Lord, idam vishvam prajya sanyogamiva prapya avbhasate. So then he can see the whole universe just in one place, as if it is available to him. Bhagavan yatha vishvam pasyati tadichhavasat tad bhakto vipasyati. So just as Lord can see the whole universe, although he is in one place, because his senses are not limited. The material senses, they have their limitation. Their range is very limited. You can only see in a particular range or sense in a particular range. And beyond that they don't work. But the senses of the Lord are not limited or conditioned like that. So he may be staying or standing or appearing to be standing in one place, but he is all pervading and he is in contact with everything. And he can sense everything simultaneously. And this can also happen to a devotee by his grace. So that is being described here. Tadichhavasat tad bhakto vipasyati. So by Lord's will, devotee can also see this. And then he gives one example. Yatha vrajeshwari mrad bhakshan lilaya. So just as Mother Yashoda, she saw the whole universe in Krishna's mouth. Because Krishna desired, he wanted to prove that he has not eaten the clay. The children were complaining that he has eaten mud. So Yashoda came and asked him, and he denied, because he was afraid that if he says yes, then he may get a spank. Why did you do that? So he was very afraid of that. So he said, no, I have not done like children do. And then Yashoda said, but all these children are saying that you have done it, and he said, they are all telling lies. And why are they telling lies? He says, because they are envious of me. So he is very clever. So then he says, okay, then you show your mouth. And that's when the trouble came. So then by Yogamaya, the whole universe was manifest. So Yogamaya, she came and solved the problem. So the meaning was that if the universe is inside, then how can he eat clay, which is part of the universe? Because eating means to take something from outside into your mouth. You don't eat your tongue, it's already there. So he says, how can I eat? It's already there. So she was surprised by seeing this. Pratiti anarasyapi kadachit pratito drishtanta. Then he gives one example that how sometimes things which are normally not object of perception can be perceived. So he says Chandramasi uparajya tamaha rahuriva. So sometimes it seems that Rahu becomes visible. Rahu is supposed to be an invisible planet or just a node, but according to this it looks like that sometimes it becomes visible under certain circumstances. So in the same way, usually we don't see the universe, we only see some little part of the universe, but it is possible. Naham mameti bhavayam purushe vyavadhiyate yavad buddhi manokshartha guna vyuho hi anadiman. He says that as long as we have the mind, the intelligence, the senses, the sense objects, and all these products of guna, then this idea that I am this body or these things belong to me, they are not removed. And this sense has no beginning, anadiman. So it's also very clearly the word is used here, anadiman, that doesn't begin at a particular point. Because the conditioning of the living being has no beginning. So the meaning is that while existing in this physical body, this idea that I am not the body, it does not happen. So no one can come to this conclusion by any amount of one's own practice. Only when someone becomes devotee, one can realize this fact. Otherwise, by any amount of practice, this idea that I am separate from this does not happen. Naham mameti bhavayam purushe vyavadhiyate. So he says that this bhav, this feeling, this identification with the body is not given up. To give this up, one has to give up the mind. One has to do no mind meditation. Unless you get rid of the mind, as long as the mind is there, this will continue. Tadevam sthula deha nashe api linga dehasya anasad अन्यः कर्ता अन्यो भोक्ता iti dosho nasti ityuktam. So he says that in this way he has answered this question which was asked, that when the physical body is destroyed, then how is it that one is getting the enjoyment or the result in another body? Because it is not possible that one performs action and the other one gets the result. So he says that this defect has been removed or answered. Tatra evam shankate. Now another doubt is being raised here. Nanu linga dehasya sthula deha dvarenaiva kartritva bhoktritva drishyate natu kevalasya. Says that the subtle body, it functions only through the gross body, not independently. Whatever actions we perform, whatever experiences we have, they happen through the gross body. Subtle body cannot do anything. So this agency or enjoyership is through the gross body. Tatra kadachit sthula deha bhave jivasya kartritvadiya bhavan mukti prasujjet. So because this feeling of doership and enjoyership is only in association with the gross body, when one gives up the gross body, then one becomes free from the doership and enjoyership, then one should become liberated. Because bondage is only because of the feeling of doership. As Krishna says, Naham kriti bhavaryasya buddhiryasya nalipyate atvapi sayman lokan nahanti nalipyate. One who does not have the ahankriti bhav, that I am the doer, whose intelligence is not tainted by such thoughts, then he is not bound. So if he is not bound, he is liberated. And if this feeling of I am the doer happens only because of the gross body, then when one gives up the gross body and there is only subtle body, then one should become liberated. See the doubt. So then he says Naham. That no, this idea of aham and mama is not given up. Aham mameti bhava sthula deha sambandha purushe jive na vyavdhiyate na vichhinno bhavati. He says that this idea of I and my is never given up, never destroyed. Kim paryantam buddhir mano akshartha rupo guna viho guna parinama lingam yavan. That as long as one has the subtle body, which consists of mind, intelligence, the senses, then it will continue. Because then you will have the feeling that I am the subtle body and this is my subtle body. So there is no question of giving up this. Nanu ayam kadarambhya pravritta. And if someone says that since when is this I and my existing? When did they start? So he says that anadiman, that it has no beginning. Avigyat adi kala. That this is anadi. There is no particular time that it came into existence. So then somebody will say that when we sleep, then we don't have the feeling of I. So for that he speaks the next verse. It says Sukti murchopatapeshu pranayana vighatataha niyatahamiti jnanam mrityu prajvarayorapi. Says that when there is deep sleep, or when someone goes into coma, or when someone is feeling deep separation, then because of the blockage of the prana, one does not feel the sense of I. Also at the time of death or some deep sickness. But that does not mean that the I is lost. The ahankara still exists, it's that we don't feel it. Nanu linga deha sadbhave eva parasahasranam sthula dehanam nasa udbhavasya. So he is raising the question that when we have the subtle body, then we have experience of thousands and thousands of gross bodies. Take birth and then give them up, death, birth, death. Tathat sthula deha sadbhave api prati susukti sukshma dehanam nasam susukti ante chodbhamsa katham nabhuma. So he said, just as we get gross body when there is a subtle body, and the gross body is destroyed, subtle body continues. Why we cannot say that when subtle gross body is there, the subtle body is destroyed, such as in the case of somebody becoming unconscious, going into coma state. So at that time we can say that there is only gross body, no subtle body. Just as there is subtle body without gross body, let there be gross body without subtle body. So suksham dehanam nasa susukti ante chodbhava. And when one goes into deep sleep, then the subtle body is destroyed. When you come out from the deep sleep, subtle body is created, takes birth. So just as we have birth and death of the gross body, let there be birth and death of the subtle bodies also. So then he says, it's not so. Sukti iti dvabhyam. Uptapa ishta vyogadi dukkha. Uptapa means the suffering which comes from separation. Suptiyadisu prananam ainam indriyasu sanchalanam tasya vighata. Says that when one sleeps, deep sleep, then the life air becomes blocked into the senses, these sense organs. Therefore they don't function. We have this organ, eye, the ears. So at that time the pranavayu which makes them function, this is contracted. So they are not working. Tadavighata janyad indriyanam swaswa vyapara samarthya. So because of the blockage of the pranavayu, then the respective senses or sense organs, they don't function at that time. Ahamiti jnanam ahankara aham amuka iti jnanam naihate ne prakasate. And similarly, when one goes into the deep sleep, then pranavayu does not go to the ahankara, the mind, intelligence, etc. So therefore at that time one does not have the sense of I am so and so. Now it does not mean that the I is lost. Just as the sense organs are not destroyed and they are not functioning, in the same way the I is not lost. Tatra susuptau manadi sarvendriyesu prana sancharana bhava swapne bahir jnanendriyesu eveti gayam. So from this it is understood that in deep sleep there is no flow of life air into mind, etc. All the senses, they are cut off from the life air. But in the dream state, only the external senses are cut off. The internal senses are working, that's why one is able to dream. Mrityu prajwarabhyam janite kaste api supti adisu yatha purvam vighadadikyam natulingasya bhav. Similarly at the time of death also. So these things don't function. Or when there is too much suffering in the body, then one can become unconscious. But this does not mean that one has become free from the subtle body. Subtle body is still existing. And it will continue. So this is what he is answered. Any questions? We'll stop here.
Bhagavatam, in this, it seemed the way that you have explained that there's no opportunity.
There's
no opportunity for a change. Or like in the story of Bali Maharaj, in his previous life, he was not charitably disposed, right? He was a drunkard. And by some accident, he was going to give charity, I guess, to the prostitute, no? But somehow he gave it to Lord Shiva. And then he got notice that act he had not experienced before, but now when he had the opportunity to go and be the king of heaven, he understood there's great merit in this act of charity, and then it seems that he created this samskaras there that he didn't have previously, right?
Yes.
So that seems to indicate there is an opportunity for change, rather than if one is not charitable, it means in the past he has not been, and in the future he will not be.
Yeah, so one can consciously change.
One can consciously change.
By understanding that, okay, I am like this, but this is how I want to be, then one can make an effort to have those samskaras. That is one thing. Second thing is that even he would have had the charitable samskaras, but probably they are buried, because definitely in some lifetime he would have also been charitable. Because as we said that we have experienced all kinds of things. So all types of samskaras are lying inside. But they get buried down. So you can also try to activate those samskaras. So there is possibility of changing. In fact, change is happening. So although the past samskaras are always influencing us, but we can make a conscious effort to change in a particular way, good or bad. Just as people also become fallen by bad association, they can also become elevated by good association. Because association influences, one gets a desire, although by oneself one may not desire it, but by others' influence. So we also get influenced by others, besides the influence coming from within. So that is the significance of satsanga or a satsanga. Previously we read, Narada Muni explained that the only cause of bhakti is good association. That is one thing. He made a whole process that it happens by association, and then you get a guru and you perform sadhana and all that. So satsanga was pointed out. So same bad association one also can become deviant. So that's how the changes happen.
So as you mentioned, Bhakti is coming with association, we receive this Bhakti Lata Bij, and if we cannot attain perfection in this life, next life, we start with our samskar from Bhakti. And so, in another end, we also experiment samskar born from the desire to enjoy also. So it seems that the same word is used, samskara, but the effect of these two kinds of samskar are opposite. Because with one you become liberated or develop bhakti, and with the other one, born from the desire to enjoy, then you become more and more entangled, isn't it?
Yeah, because these are two different types of samskaras.
These two different kinds of samskars.
Yeah, they have different effect. One type of samskara inspires you to be devoted to God, and the other one is inspiring you to enjoy. So they are different.
Yeah. But suppose in this life I am a pujari, and in the next life I have the tendency to serve as a pujari. So it is difficult to say it is a spiritual samskar, because the intention is more important than, it seems that the intention is more important than the samskar, because you can have this samskar to be pujari, but if you have the desire for liberation, it is not really bhakti, even though externally you are like a pujari. So what is the connection between samskar and the
Because there's
intention?
There's a bhava attached with the samskaras. So bhakti, that's why bhakti leads you to bhav bhakti. So ultimately there is a bhav, there's sense. So there are only two bhavas. One is that I want to enjoy, another is I want to serve. So that is also there along with the samskara. Because when samskaras are recorded, they are not just recorded as plain samskaras, they are recorded along with the emotions. What kind of emotion is there with it?
What is the state of the mind in an animal?
State of
the state of the mind in an animal? How does it function? How does it function?
it just mainly functions for survival.
Does an animal think?
That's what I'm saying. It doesn't think much.
It doesn't think.
It's only thoughts are related only with the survival. The hunger is there, looks for the food. And once the food is there, there is no hunger, then it's not thinking much. It's very limited.
Just acts on instinct. Just instinct.
Yeah, it's more like instinct. So they are not aware. They don't have awareness of themselves. As we are aware that I am a human being, they are not aware that they are animal.
Yeah, another word.
Otherwise they will become dissatisfied. Try to do something.